It is often said that whatever happens in life occurs for a good reason. But do we always believe this? Let me share a story that might help you understand this truth. In a dense, lush green forest where the trees seemed to whisper ancient secrets, a young man came running to a sage, tears streaming down his face. He collapsed at the sage's feet, his body trembling with sorrow. The sage, as calm as the morning sun, gently patted the young man's shoulder and asked, "What troubles you, my child?" Choking on his sobs, the young man cried, "I have lost everything. Thieves attacked me in the forest, stealing all my belongings, everything I had. Now I am left with nothing, not even a way to return home. How is this fair? My life is ruined." The sage listened attentively and then, with a serene smile, replied, "Do not worry, my son. Whatever has happened for a good reason." The young man's sorrow quickly turned into anger. "How can you say that? This is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. How can losing everything be good for me?" The sage remained unmoved and said, "Let me share a story with you. A long time ago, in a small village encircled by rivers, lived a poor farmer with his wife and young son. They owned very little, just a tiny house and some grain stored for the season. One year, a terrible flood struck the village. The raging waters swept away homes, animals, and crops. The farmer lost everything, including the little food they had. He sat on the ground, holding his head in his hands, and cried, 'How will we survive now? This is the end for us.' But his young son, full of hope, said, 'Father, don't worry. Whatever happens for a good reason.' The farmer, overwhelmed by grief, became furious. 'How dare you say that? Everything we owned is gone. There is nothing good about this.' In his anger, he pushed his son out of the house and shouted, 'Leave. You are no longer my son.' Heartbroken and in tears, the boy left. As the day passed and evening approached, the farmer regretted his harsh words. 'What have I done?' he thought, but it was too late. Suddenly, a rescue boat arrived in the village, saving those affected by the flood. The farmer's wife smiled and said, 'See? Our son was right. Help has come.' But the farmer remained unconvinced. 'How can you say that? We have lost everything, our home, our food, even precious memories. What good can come from this?' Weeks passed, and the farmer and his wife struggled to survive. One day, his wife suggested, 'Why don't you go to the city and find work? Maybe we can start over.' The farmer agreed. He walked for days in search of work. Many doors closed on him, and he began losing hope. Just when he was about to give up, he met a kind merchant who not only offered him a job but also provided him a place to stay. Years went by, and the farmer worked hard. One evening, there was a knock on his door. When he opened it, he froze in shock. Standing before him was his son, now a grown man, holding a bag and smiling. "Father," the son said, "It's me. After you sent me away, I went to the city. It was difficult at first, but I found work, learned business, and eventually built my own company. I have come to take you and mother to live with me. Look, I even bought a new house." The farmer was speechless. Tears filled his eyes as he hugged his son. His son smiled and said, "If the flood hadn't come, and if you hadn't sent me away, none of this would have happened. Now, we have a better life." The farmer laughed through his tears. "You were right, my son. Everything does happen for a reason." The sage finished his story and looked at the young man. "Do you see, my child? Sometimes life takes away what we think we need, only to give us something even better." The young man listened quietly, still uncertain. "But I have lost everything. How can this be good for me?" The sage smiled and handed him a small shiny stone. "Take this. I found it in the forest, and it may help you. The young man examined the stone and realized it was no ordinary rock, it was a philosopher's stone, known for its incredible value. "Had you not lost your belongings?" the sage said, "you wouldn't have met me, and I wouldn't have given you this. You can sell it in the city to regain what you lost." The young man left the forest no longer sorrowful but filled with hope and newfound understanding, carrying with him the shiny stone that could change his fate. Life is full of unexpected challenges, and at times, it may seem like everything is falling apart. But remember, every event, whether good or bad, is part of a larger plan that we may not immediately understand. Difficult moments often pave the way for greater opportunities and hidden blessings. Just like the farmer and his son, who found prosperity after enduring loss, and the young man who discovered hope in his despair, we must trust the journey. Patience, faith, and resilience are key to navigating life's hardships. Even when things seem impossible, hold on, because what feels like a setback today might be the foundation for a brighter tomorrow. Everything truly happens for a reason, even if we don't see it right away.